Okay, hello guys. Today I wanted to just record a very quick video to talk about improvement in casting, progress, what I'm doing to improve, and kind of my overall views on it. Obviously, we're about 2.5 weeks in now. This is the start of Playday 6 for EU, and obviously, many people have had their feedback. I've actually received a lot of positive feedback. There have been some, constructively critical feedback, and of course, you get the occasional mean comment. But I thought that it would be useful both for me to hold myself accountable and be able to express where I'm at, but also for people who are looking to see improvement and things like that, for me to talk about this. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, for those who don't know, because I'm relatively new in Siege, I am not a new caster. I have decent amount of experience. I've been casting for about 1.5 years, 2 years. I came from Overwatch, that's where most of my experience is in, but I've done things like PUBG, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, various shooters. I came to Siege because I wanted to come to Siege, and I happened to be offered this job. Now, the thing is, even though I consider myself a pretty good color caster in Overwatch, it took me a while to get there. I mean, I had to do a decent amount of studying of the game, even though I already played it a shit ton, to, have my game knowledge good enough. So I've been in this position before where I am at somewhat a dearth of game knowledge and have had to go through the motions of studying. This isn't a new position for me. And so because I've seen myself in the past go through that process and get to a point I'm really happy at, I have full faith in myself that I can do the same thing in Siege, but I think it's worth noting that, it's not like all hope is lost. Definitely work can be done. So I think one of the interesting things for me at the moment is that, for the last 2 years throughout my casting journey, a lot of my focus has had to be on getting better at casting, like the actual technicalities of casting. Well, I think I'm at a point now where most of that's okay. Obviously, there's always improvements that can be made, but the things I have to focus on now are slightly different, and they pertain more to the game itself. And so, I've put in a lot of work to get the fundamentals down. I know some people have had issues with things like callouts. That's something that over the last few days particularly, I've put in a lot of work to improve on, and will continue to do so. So it's kind of like, now it's like, okay, focus on the game, focus on learning things to a deeper level, studying the game more and things like that. And that's kind of a strange shift for me, going from, I've got to focus on becoming a better caster to, no, your casting's fine, you've just got to focus on knowing the game better. But I know very much that that's where I am, and I want people to know that I'm aware of that. That, of course, doesn't mean there aren't things about my casting that also could be improved. I think one of the primary things that people have brought up, and that I'm also very aware of, is that my play-by-play needs improvement. And that's fine to me. I'm not upset by that. I obviously came from other games. I came from Overwatch at the start. I made pit stops in Call of Duty, PUBG, Apex Legends, various games, but I've always been a color caster. That's always what I've trained to be. It's always what I've solely been in. This is the first time that I'm learning this more hybrid style of Siege where you have to be able to play by play. And so I'm learning on the job. And that's like totally fine. Evidently, there are things I need to improve about those things, and that's totally cool. But I definitely want people to know that I'm aware of that, and I am conscious of it, and I'm working on it. But I also really appreciate there have been some people who have said they like my play-by-play casting, and some people who said they think I'm a very good, natural, analytical caster, which is always been my speciality. So, and obviously I have to balance that out with learning the game to a deeper level as well. So you can see where these two things are coming in from two different sides that I'm constantly trying to work on. When it comes to my play-by-play, I feel like what I try to express as hype is almost too controlled, because, over the last couple of years, as I've tried to improve my casting and tried to work on it, a lot of it is about control over energy and things like that. And that means that that's sort of the mindset that I have when doing those things. Whereas what a lot of people want to hear is just that kind of letting go of it a little bit and just allowing yourself to see the true excitement come through. So I kind of just need to somewhat let go of the control that I'm trying to have over my energy and just allow the more looseness, I want to say, to come out. There's sort of I'm a spectator sitting on my sofa and this game is fucking hype. You know what I mean? I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we are all very open to feedback and learning, both from each other, from, viewers, audience at home, from our peers. I'm pretty good friends with some of the guys in NA, and I speak to them about this sort of thing a lot, as well, about like where I can improve and stuff like that. That's the important thing, right? I mean, even if you were to go back, and obviously like everyone says this, they're like, Twitch chat, they're gonna get mad that you're not Kixen in Tarot, just like don't take it personally. And it's like, I don't, first and foremost, take it personally. But I think one thing that people kind of overlook is those two have casted together for 3 years now. We've casted together for 2 weeks. And like, so we all have different skills, different levels of experience, things like that just aren't going to be as developed as them. But I guarantee if you go back and you watch some of Kixen in Tarot's stuff from like 2017, early 2018, you'll probably see a really, really stark difference and see how much they've improved. But give it like a couple more weeks, and then a couple of months on that, and then a couple of years on that, you're going to be looking at completely different casters who have learned to grow, learned to develop, and honed in their skills. It's like, yeah, there are these more established talent in Siege, and people have grown to love them, and rightfully so, but they've had a lot more time to develop and grow than we have, and this is our chance to have that space to do that. So, some people might wonder what it is I personally am doing to try and improve. Maybe they don't give a shit. Fine. So one thing that I'm doing is, of course, I'm working on EU and APAC, but also I'm trying to watch as much of NA as possible. And part of that is just to support my friends, right? Like, as I say, I have friends on that broadcast, and I like watching them do their thing. And also I'm invested in the region. I think it's really entertaining region, and it's been great so far. But, I try to like make either mental or physical notes about things like certain things in the cast that I like, certain structures. Particularly, I try to listen to how Kickstar structures a lot of his analysis, because I think he has a real good method of making concepts incredibly simple. And you'll find that with most good color casters. And I think that's something that, I try to pay attention to the way in which he does that. And I've made a lot of notes about it. So I have a little section on here called Siege Study. So here we go. So this is what I looked at, the SSG versus Disrupt Gaming Clubhouse map. I made notes about the way that, you can see Audacity in the background, the way that certain points were being brought up. And I think it's important to note that I feel this way, and I vastly suspect that most of my peers feel this way. None of us want to be Kixen in Tarot. None of us want to be Blue and Stokes. Like, everyone's out to develop their own identity and their own style and their own brand. But it's important that you do learn from other people, both within your own game and outside of it. And I feel very fortunate that I've come from other games, because it means I have a broader exposure to people from other games from whom I can learn. But that's something I'm doing. So, I did that. I try to watch analytical content. I try to go back and watch games and make notes of like important pivotal moments in the games myself, so that I can get better at that. Try to think about more, if X decision is made, what is Y consequence of that? Things like that. So I'm very actively doing that, and I'm going back and I'm watching my own cast, and I'm making notes on things that need to be improved. I'm talking to my co-casters about how we feel certain casts went, what we think can be improved, what we want to try and implement in our next casts, and how we feel about that afterwards. So there is a constant feedback going on, constant studying. It never ends. I love it, but it's really important to me that I think, for me especially, as the kind of newest person in Siege on this roster, I want the audience to trust that I'm doing my best to do the right studying, do the right implementation of feedback. And, I've been thrown in the deep end, which is great, because I think that's where I learn best. So I just wanted to have that conversation with you guys, and just see where you guys are at, and so you guys can see where I'm at as well. And hopefully you will be enjoying the EU League broadcasts and the APAC League broadcasts more and more as time goes on, and as things start to settle, and you start to notice the improvements that we're all trying to make. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video or the next play day, because there's a lot of them. Bye guys.